Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon. This is creating a data economy in traditional manufacturing organizations. If that's not your final destination, you're probably in the wrong room, but that's where we're going. So I'll introduce myself and then we'll get into introducing our guests here from Caterpillar. But Luis Solano, I'm an industry development manager for manufacturing at Google. And what that means is I'm a sales overlay position. And we have the privilege of talking to someone from one of the most iconic brands in the world, Caterpillar. Their brand synonymous with construction and the economy. And really, this project that Melissa and team led is about one of the most daunting tasks an enterprise can go after, right? It's so daunting, most people don't even start. Think about a 100-year-old company with multiple sources of customer data. How do you get that data in the right place so it's usable? All the challenges related to not only the technology, but the change management part. So with that, I'll let Melissa introduce herself and Caterpillar.
So Melissa Smallenberger, I run the Google Marketing Platform and Google Cloud Platform portion of marketing for Caterpillar. Have been with Caterpillar in almost 9 years. And our team is a small team, so I work on the product management side of the house. We have our engineering side of the house, along with our solution architecture side of the house and our GIS side of the house. So, and we have a few of everybody in the audience today too as well. So if you have questions on anything, we're going to be good to go. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about Caterpillar as well. So we are always, working at sustainable, making the world better with a sustainable world. And so that can include, powering nations, inspiring innovation, restoring things after natural disasters, and of course, improving. If you've driven on a road, there's a good chance it was built with some Caterpillar machinery. If we go to the next one there. So we have 4 million products active around the world right now. And 1.4 million of those are sending data back to Caterpillar, in real time in a lot of cases. So with that, we have 17 different brands. So everything from, as you can see in our product lines, the diesel electric locomotives with Progress Rail, our industrial turbines with Solar Turbines out in San Diego here, mining equipment, construction equipment, and of course our off-highway diesel and natural gas engines, as well as power generation for a lot of the data centers in the world. We have, we're in 150 primary locations across 25 countries, and we have about 110,000 employees. And we have a dealer network. So one of our challenges is always how we sell to the dealer, but our dealers sell to our customers. And so getting that customer data is always one of those things that we'll talk about during the presentation here.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to have a question and answer period at the end. So if you have questions, please hold off until the end. Just come to the mic in the last 10 or 15 minutes. But let's start by talking about the overall scope and objectives. So maybe talk to us about why did you have to do this project? What were some of the objectives, maybe top 3 objectives, and also really the scope of the whole program?
Sure. So one of the reasons we had to do this project is we had some different, actually 6 different areas of challenges or things that were considered our burning platform. One of them was that a lot of our marketing data sat with our vendors and suppliers. And so with that, we wanted to bring that data in-house as well as to make sure Caterpillar owned that data. So, that can be in our marketing area. We're focused on our marketing data at this point, and that includes some of our customer behavioral data from our marketing. And so really it sat with a lot of our ad agencies. And so one of it was really to be able to do the analytics and insights that we wanted to do across our enterprise. It was really, we needed to have that in a centralized location so we could make that. Some of the things that we're enabling with this is to make that self-serve for our business unit partners and customers internal to Caterpillar. We also had the constant change in marketing with privacy and consent demands, whether it's GDPR, CCPA. We've got all the acronyms of alphabet soup out there, as we call it. And so there was a lot of regulatory changes of how that data was managed, how it could be, the consent to collect it. And so there were things like that we needed to do to make sure that we were handling that the way our customers and our customers and the companies of those customers expected it to be handled. course, there's also the legal and retention. So Caterpillar, of course, being an almost 100-year-old company, has a lot of different policies and internal security that we need to follow. Part of that was data retention. As you know, a lot of the marketing platforms out there don't hold the data for a real long time. You need to get it out of the activation platforms and into a data warehouse or a data lake. So a lot of that also drove where we were going for with data retention. There was also an enterprise marketing need. Everybody wants, marketing return on investment. So we needed to be able to have this data together to be able to do those types of analysis and insights. Of course, that we also had IT requirements and policies that we needed to meet as well. And that's where we partnered up with our GIS team and our vendor management team to get our master services cloud agreement in place and what we could and couldn't do with that data and with the way it was set up. And then, of course, we all know about Google Analytics 4. So Caterpillar has over 570 websites that we track with Google Analytics. And so with Google Analytics 4, you need to be able to get that into BigQuery. And so that was one of the other things that drove that with the migration to GA4. We needed that BigQuery data set to be able to do that analysis we were able to do before. The other part of this is really where the customer came in. And so really the business case for this, so that was kind of the burning platform, but really the business case for this came into where we wanted to be able to serve our customers better. We wanted to have relevant engagements with them, not that peanut butter and jelly spread of, everybody gets the same ad. We wanted to be able to give them personalized experiences based on their behavior, based on what we could do about them as a customer, what we knew about their company, with the industries they worked in. And so it was really be able to have those conversations based on what we knew, based on those prospects and customers. So not just the known customers, but also what, our visitors were doing on some of our more marketing interacted websites. The other part of that is to be able to properly ingest that and store it to customers' expectations. So we wanted to make sure we were protecting that data, like we said in our privacy policies and what we were doing with that. And then the ability to connect all of this to all of the other data sets Caterpillar has across the enterprise. So customer data, telematics data, sales data, product data. So the ability to be able to tie all of this together was one of the key pieces that we needed to do as a business case to be able to offer those personalized experiences on the website, as well as reach those target audiences with our marketing.
Yeah, one comment here on the personalized experience. It's an interesting area because if you talk to anyone out there on the show and talk about any industry, it's always there, right? Whether you're talking to healthcare, whether you're talking to banking, whether you're talking to manufacturing, people expect a certain level of personalized experience. At the very least, they want to be able to have a conversation with multiple people and not have to explain to the next person what the previous conversation was about, right? And that's just driven by the consumerization of the experience into the world. What about scope, Melissa?
So yeah, the scope of this project was really, we had a Google Cloud piece of it that we'll talk about, but we also had the scope of the data we were looking for. And our personal project on my team is really our digital intelligence warehouse. You'll hear me reference it as DIW. And this is really where we're holding all of our app and web analytics data. So those 570 Google Analytics properties, all of our digital ads and ads account data, all of our social media data, all of our Play Store apps data, our Google Search Console data, the Salesforce Marketing Cloud data, and then all of those generate our business unit projects. And so the projects that for the business units are where they're using that data with other Caterpillar data to do those analysis, insights, dashboards, reporting, and those personalizations and marketing analytics.
Awesome. So let's talk about what kind of challenges did you expect and encounter, and really, how did you solve them on the journey? And also talk a little bit about the onboarding existing Google Cloud projects to the platform.
Sure. So really to get started, this was a project we knew we needed to do. And so with that, it was really, there was four really big areas with that. So one of it is we knew we needed to get executive support. We had the operational team ask, so the marketing team's asking, the sales team's asking, the website and app team's asking, but we needed that executive support level to get the buy-in and understand, what we could offer to our customers in a better way. So there was also a funding ask with that, which is really where we're currently going through an e-commerce acceleration. Some of you may be involved in that in some of the partnerships that we have. And with that, there was that we're able to tie in all of the needs that we had with that e-commerce acceleration project. We also had the enterprise data strategy. So this is one where we are a multi-cloud company, and so the enterprise data strategy was the need to not duplicate data, but also make it in a cost-effective and simple to use and self-serve way in the end for our business partners. So taking those technical needs along with the business needs to really go where we needed to go. And then we had a lot of legacy enterprise projects that we already had in Google Cloud that we really needed to be able to take it to the new standards we were setting, the new foundation we were putting in place. And really, that's where that foundation stand-up came in first. So that's where we first partnered. And that's where we partnered with our GIS team, and which is our Global Information Services team, and with our vendor management team to get a master services cloud agreement in place, which gets all that language that you need in there. We also were able to partner with Google Cloud experts and resources, both from Google and from some partners, to help us set up that foundation the way we knew we needed to. Whether that was the account hierarchy, the cloud hierarchy, the different business unit projects, and all those, and we'll talk about those a little bit later as well. We had a professional services partner that we worked with Google to find the right fit for Caterpillar. And then we also had the data ownership and roles and responsibilities. So with 4 teams involved in a company that's highly matrixed, this is was one of the challenges we knew we were going to have, but it also worked out really well because we were able to set the foundation from the beginning to really do what we needed to do. And then, of course, we had the business partner needs during the build. So some of these projects already existed, and with those business partners, they needed to keep their dashboards running. They needed to keep their analysis running. They needed to keep their marketing projects running. And so setting up a whole new foundation while they were using data that had been partially set up before was one of those challenges we knew we were coming to, but we also had great partnerships across our 4 teams to be able to actually handle that and keep everything running while it was going on.
Yeah, just a couple of comments here about executive support, because we mentioned how these projects are so daunting, most people don't even start. And one of the reasons why they're daunting is that everyone believes that they have an optimized system for their needs, right? You have multiple owners, everyone feels they're optimized for themselves, but you're asking someone to global optimization, right? To basically think about the process. And ultimately, the executive support is not only about paying the bills and supporting the project, but also helping people understand the value and drive the behavior change necessary to really drive the project forward. Let's talk about the solution design. Melissa, can you talk about the solution design and the effort that you did there?
Yeah, so the solution design in this came from a lot of parts. We had our solution architecture team involved. We had our GIS team involved. We had our marketing teams involved. We did voice of business. And really it came down to a couple of things in how we designed this solution. Part of it was what could we do with the teams and products that we already had. And then, of course, the marketing needs that we were trying to handle is really looking at where were there out-of-the-box integrations. So with that Google Marketing Platform integration with Google Cloud products, and that, like I said, the Google Analytics was a big leader in this, and the automatic part of how that data goes into BigQuery to be used and analyzed was a huge decision factor in that. So those out-of-the-box integrations, the APIs, the ease of use on those, the amount of support out there for them was part of that product selection, along with the pipeline tools and API updates. And again, this is all for our DIW project specifically of how we were trying to get all that marketing data centralized. And so really that was part of it, but then there was also the cost benefit to the marketers. So we evaluated things like if we custom built an API to pull from one of our marketing platforms versus used a partner API. It was really to see, which one was that. Well, certain of those marketing technologies out there do 12 to 15 API updates a year. And so when you've got a large company and a lot of teams you're working with, it made sense to go with partnerships that would allow us to pull that data in, as well as be able to really maintain it and put our resources where we need to get the business value out of it, versus having to create tech and tech debt in that area. So part of it was that product selection based on those things. And then, of course, the cloud structure. So a lot of the design is we have about 650 projects in there. Each of those has their own data owner within Caterpillar. So we needed with that matrixed org and the amount of business units and divisions and product groups that we have, we really needed to be able to account for that matrix org, both in the billing that we'll talk about in a second, but also in our account structure, so that we could have the data owners give the right permissions to the right people to access and use that data. So we did something with views in the business unit project. So instead of giving access to that raw data right now, we do views. And so that was part of the design with our solution architecture team, and with the partnership with Google, and with our GIS team on the security side of that, was how could we give that access and look through that to be able to really solve those problems it wasn't really a problem, but it was one of those things that we needed to get ahead of. And then we also have dev and prod environments. So we needed to be able to do, in certain cases, like some of the personalization features, we need to be able to test things out in lower environments before. So we've now got a dev area and a prod area in certain business unit projects. And then it really came down to those billing needs, like I said, with the internal recovery. And it wasn't so much the external dollars, but those internal, how within Caterpillar the structure of business works. And so really the billing setup was a key feature here. So we went with a folder and project level, and then each of those projects are owned by that data owner. So we were able to set up billing through with out of the box and integrations with our internal billing systems that were already in place for some of our other cloud products, be able to use that same system and make that a lot easier to do than we thought it was going to be. We were able to define ownership. So a lot of times our site owners or our data owners didn't realize what they meant as a data owner. And so defining those roles and responsibilities as part of really the solution design in this was really, letting them know what their responsibilities were, as well as helping them understand what their role in the whole project was overall.
Yeah, even though this was a burning platform, there still was a cost-benefit effort done to understand how to select the product, right?
Correct. Yeah, a lot of this came down to a lot of analysis with our solution architecture team to make sure if we didn't have a product already, what fit, what should be done in Google Cloud versus somewhere else. A lot of that, and that's an ongoing process. Like I said, we're still at that foundational level of getting a lot of the raw data in. So as you saw in our scope area, it was really, we're getting that raw data in. We're on to building those consumer tables next, and then enabling a lot of the marketing projects out there.
Awesome. So let's talk about like many customers, you're in a multi-cloud environment, right? You have obviously Google Cloud, but also data in our competitors' cloud. So how do you deal with any challenges in that area, and how do you encounter them?
Yes. So with our multi-cloud environment, there's some of our data sits in other clouds, some of our customer data, some of the data we need for marketing. And really this is where our solution architecture team comes in. And so we have Zach and Ashish in the audience here, and they've been instrumental in determining when we need to do something in Google Cloud versus when we've got something maybe a different way to do it, and then also how those go together. But yeah, we have data sitting in multi-clouds like many enterprises, and it's been very interesting today in the presentations that I've sat through, how much is multi-cloud environments. And so that's been refreshing, but also at the same time it is one of those challenges, and being able to connect that data is the first thing, but having the right pipelines and right integrations to do it is really that next level.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things that was challenging for your project is you didn't have a lot of Google Cloud trained resources. So talk to me about that journey and where you're at in that transition.
Yeah, so we had Google Cloud was being used sparsely across the enterprise. And so as we decided to take on this project and we went through that, we had solution architecture teams were learning the Google Cloud system. Our GIS team was standing up a new team to support this in the cloud area of GIS. We had our own team was adding in engineers to do that. And so one of the things that we found interesting in this is really that a lot of the resources that applied for some of these roles that we were opening up were not necessarily Google Cloud, but they had a cloud experience overall. And so with that, the ability for Google to come in and help with training sessions and just the amount of education and support that's out from Google already really helped speed a lot of that up. Plus, as we're building this, we're all learning together. So part of that is good in that learning together is also making us much more innovative in some of these things as we're trying to find out what's the best solution. So, is it way A, B, or C? And so we have a lot of different points of view from previous experience with the resources we have to say, we did this over here, but we did this over here. And so it's been a challenge, but also refreshing because it's kind of been an innovation at the same time.
Yeah, it's a great point because, we recognize that trying to find Google Cloud trained resources is not easy. And so the point is, let's get people who just know cloud in general. We have the systems and the programs to train them effectively. And really don't let that be a detriment to starting your project overall. What about scaling? If you talk to the people out in this room, that word comes up all the time, right? A lot of pilots being done out there, and very few people are scaling out behind that, right? Especially in my area, intelligent manufacturing. But take your pick. So let's talk about your scale challenges.
Yeah, so scaling was one of the things we have. Again, just like we had to scale Google Analytics across all of our websites, we started with it on 2. We started out it with 2 with the free version and have scaled to all those websites. We needed, again, to scale that data in the cloud area too. And so, we had from onboarding, so whether that was our new teams we were standing up, the team specifically for our DIW project, we did education sessions with Google. So every other week we had a training session. It might be on a certain product in one case, it might be on a certain service, it might be on security, but we did those for almost a year overall. And every 2 weeks we'd have, a 1 to 2 hour session of just getting people familiar. And so as the teams grew, they learned about the products, but also how they applied to what we were doing. We also built a new GIS cloud team. So again, that cloud team is being stood up. And so that was a scaling thing because just like everything else at Caterpillar, we need to be able to scale it across all our industries, all our business units, and all our companies too. So it's not just CAT, it's our 17 other brands as well. And how do we separate that data to make it, align with what we needed to? So there's a lot of considerations there. And then we had great vendor management support. So being able to, we were the estimate we were originally told for getting our master cloud agreement through. Well, I'm just going to say we cut that time by about 65%. So that was a new record for Caterpillar, and I give credit to our vendor management area, our GIS area, all working together to make sure all of those terms and agreements were in place to be able to do that, and with the help from Google to be able to be a great partner to work with on that. We also had pipelines. So again, those 570 websites, we have a lot of suppliers and vendors and ad tech that we do. And so we did work with a third-party pro services partner on some of that pipeline work along with our engineering team. We did do Terraform automation, which is making a huge difference in being able to speed the adoption of our business unit projects and be able to set up projects and folders in a much more automated, everything's the same type of way, and really be able to do that. And then our pipeline tools, again, we were using some of the out-of-the-box integrations between the Google products. We had the APIs with a lot of things, and then we had Fivetran was one of our partners to be able to bring in a lot of that MarTech data. Validation was another scaling thing. So when you have 500, over 500 data owners, you also need to be able to validate that data you're pulling in, because while we're in charge of pulling it in, we're kind of the data steward on it. So we needed validation to be done to make sure what was coming in was actually right. And so that's one of the processes we're going through right now, is really the data owner involvement. And so our ad platform owners, our social platform owners are validating that all of those tables and all of that data that's coming in is correct, is in the right format, matches what they were pulling out of the platform itself. And so that's been one of the scale things that has been kind of an unexpected challenge, but it was also into that scaling that we needed to do and be able to really, there's not one or two owners here. We're talking probably close to 600 different data owners. And then we needed to be able to have the analytics and marketing teams that were already using this data directly from the platforms do validations as well. So across our different business units and all of their marketing teams, and then across the globe regional marketing teams, we really needed to be able to have those validations done as well. So there was a lot of validation that's going on. And then our access and project setup. So we built a lot of business processes as we were building out the foundation, and we had dedicated resources for that, which was key. But that was a couple of the things that we'll talk about here in a second with lessons learned.
Yeah, so I think one of the things to point out is, as you heard Melissa speak about the program to this point, there was a lot of non-technology things that she had to deal with, right? Because at the end of the day, technology is important, obviously, and we're Google Cloud. But you also have to deal with the challenges associated with the organization. This is an almost 100-year-old company, 600 owners. Think about that. So that's a lot of people to navigate, right? So that's one of the key things that we want to talk about. So what about other lessons learned, Melissa?
Yeah, so lessons learned was a big area. I mean, we had things that would surprise you, and then of course things that we expected and we really learned along the way. So I'll have you go to one of the biggest things that we found was defining those roles and responsibilities. That has been key between all the different teams involved, but also even with those data owners. What are they responsible for? What are we responsible for? What are the different groups responsible for? And really that has been, because we've defined those early during the foundation, this has really been an area where it's been a game changer as we've stood this up and being able to roll this out. The enterprise education that we talked about earlier, we're doing data dictionaries. I know some of this sounds maybe more basic than we're at, but like I said, we're at the foundation right now. We're doing a welcome playbook for business units as they're building their Google analytics knowledge and their Google Cloud knowledge, their Google marketing knowledge, and all of this. This is some of this data. It's the first time our marketing partners and our marketing business units partners have ever seen this data. So they've used exports before, and now this is the first time they're getting to see this data. So we're helping them along. And part of our product management area is really doing that education and training to get that adoption we need. So one pagers and query helpers and some of the things announced here today we're looking forward to those. And then governance, who can see the data? When do we duplicate it versus when do we just create a view into it? The types of data that is allowed in our DIW project versus where it might, apply in a different one of our systems that we have. And then the access controls with that. Again, that goes back to those data owners and who can do what with that data, and what the customers expect as well. So I say build it and they will come. And I know that's kind of a baseball reference here, but by the end of this year, we expected to have 3 business units using this data in a project for. This says 28, but we're actually at 34 as of yesterday. So it has grown absolutely crazy. And we know it's going to be more. Like every week, Phil on my team, we'll get a new request we need to be able to do this, and we need a business unit project to stand that up to be able to access that data and join it. So we have a lot of projects going, and it's growing fast. And then really the other lesson learned we had is know the tech, know what's available in the cloud that we're using and the other clouds, what fits best where, what are the best practices from an industry standpoint, and some of the marketing projects versus standing up the foundational area on this. What are the out of the box capabilities versus what do you have to customize? And then those skill sets. We talked about the resources and getting the right people in the right jobs. And then, of course, that billing configuration. So there was really a lot of different things working in with systems that have been within Caterpillar for a long time versus new ones we were standing up all together.
Yeah, I love the 3 versus 34 example, right? And I think the lesson there for me is that, look, there's no killer use case here, right? There is no use case that's going to get 50 different groups to say, I'm in. Start with anything small,
Yes.
Get value, do another one. All of a sudden people say, wow, these guys are getting benefits from this. Here's another opportunity, right? People spend so much time trying to figure out the roadmap to the exact level of detail. Start small, start with anything, get wins. People love to be engaged with projects that drive value overall.
Yep.
So let's talk about this digital intelligence warehouse, DIW, and what are you enabling with it?
Yeah, so DIW really is enabling our enterprise personalization. Like I said, this everything we're doing comes back to how we can better serve our customers and give them the experiences that they're expecting. So really it's about not only just centralizing that data so where it makes it like our marketers' lives easier, but it also is providing us the ability to own that data and manage that data, as well as reach audiences that we haven't reached before, because now we're able to connect that data with other data within Caterpillar to be able to do that reporting, the analytics, and those insights that then make our marketing smarter too. And so what that all comes down to is with smarter marketing, we can have those better experiences with our customers and meet their needs, both from the privacy side of the house, but also with those expectations, a lot of people are going to shop, and when you abandon your cart, you kind of expect an email or an offer or an ad to show up. So it's being able to enable those types of things that we are able to now do because of this data and the fact that it's now centralized, able to have our marketers use it, and then really be able to drive those customer expectations and meet them.
Awesome. Just to wrap things up, first of all, thank you, Melissa, for the insights and the time. We appreciate it. One of the reasons why we chose Melissa, and she graciously volunteered to do this, is that we felt it was a good example of don't get overwhelmed by the challenge, right? It's easy to say, I've got to get 600 people aligned on what we want to do here. You don't even know where to start, right? So her team did it. She's obviously started on this journey. She's by no means finished, but she has a path forward. And the whole thing is that it's not just about technology. There are basically business process changes, adoption changes, change management efforts.
Yeah.
So she took consideration all those things to get this project up and running, and look forward to hearing about her use of that data. I'm excited about the use of Gen AI in this data. Now that they have that data in one place, you're enabling Gen AI opportunities that you weren't able to do before. Listen, if you're interested in any of the things we just talked about, please reach out to your Google rep. Happy to host a joint executive briefing session, work on a trial with some of these capabilities. And with that, appreciate your time and have a great show. Day 1, day 2, and day 3 awaits. Thank you.